This video is for anybody struggling to start hitting the gym.
That sucks.
Or sort out their diet.
That's good.
Or begin any sort of transformation from unhealthy to healthy, and worried that each passing day is just confirmation of what a giant loser they must be, because it might not be as bad as you think. Also, it's not a video for anyone who tells people like that they are a giant loser because they themselves overcame their own disordered eating and mental health hurdles to get where they are. So look, it can be done if you just put your mind to it. When they really mean they once ate 3 Kit Kats in quick succession while crying over the horse scene from Neverending Story.
Fight against the sadness vortex!
Those people can take the discount code for whatever they're selling this week and shove it up their arse. One of the great frustrations I have regarding my own transition from out of shape to in shape is that I don't remember the moment that it clicked up here that I was going to make that change. I remember knowing that I needed to for years. I did have mirrors, but I mean the moment that I thought it starts now. It's a frustration because if I did remember, I'd have an answer for all the people that ask me, what was it that made you wake up one day and think, from now on it's going to be different? So with no clarity about what begins the process for others, some people try and artificially kickstart it themselves. They'll say, I'll start on my birthday, or 6 weeks out from my holiday, or Monday. And when that really meaningless date passes and they fail to act on it, they get demoralised. Equally, they might give themselves a personal reason to change. I'll do it for my wife or my husband or my kids. I'll do it for a charity fun run or whatever. And again, when they don't get underway, they're back to demoralised. And now also questioning whether they really care as much about their loved ones as they thought. And wow, they must hate charity. So if you are somebody who is wondering why these apparently great reasons to be motivated to change are not actually helping you change, then my last 6 months might provide some peace of mind that you're not alone. Last year, I was in good shape for a 50-year-old man. Then I took December off, training relaxed, so did my diet, and then never started again. For all sorts of reasons. I was bored with working out all the time, I had a few injuries, it just added up. But after a couple of months I thought, okay, I need to get back to doing something. I was getting in pretty poor shape. So I tried, but kept failing. And so I told myself the reasons I should get in shape, motivators that could not fail. I set targets and goals and lines in the sand, yet motivation was not the result. Targets and goals fell by the wayside and sandy lines were crossed. And it would have been easy for me to think, well then I must just be a giant fat lazy loser because those things should have worked. Let's go through them. I know what it is like to be out of shape for a long time and I did not want to go back there. I know what it's like to be in shape and wanted to be there. I'm a YouTuber. I might not be a fitness YouTuber as such, but I do make content about what I'm doing, and when I'm doing fitness it seems to go quite well here.
Go.
I've then got children and grandchildren who I want to see grow up. And again, because I'm 50, it means I'm an awful lot closer to being sick and then dead than I ever was in the past. The list goes on. My wife is 15 years younger than me, and when we met 10 years ago, I promised her that I would do my best to not look too much like that was the case. In return, she promised to do her best to always look 15 years younger than me, and she's keeping up her end of the deal. At this point, I should say anyone thinking, hang on a minute, she should love you and be with you unconditionally. You've mistaken her for a golden retriever. She has no obligation to watch me stuff my face while binge watching Clarkson's Farm as I develop Clarkson's physique. So I was not short of reasons to change. There was, on paper, reasons aplenty. And I also set myself calendar dates that simply could not go ignored. I arranged a photo shoot to demonstrate how great I was looking at 50. I put races and events and competitions in the diary that I was certain I would not arrive at out of shape. To be fair, I didn't, but that's because I cancelled them. My wife even ended up doing a duathlon that we'd booked together on our own because I no longer fitted in my duathlon kit. I mean, technically I fitted in it, but when I showed her, she said, why don't you just film instead? So I took the hint. Now, it would be easy to look at all that and think, if that can't get me to focus, then what on earth will? Am I just a lost cause? Is there even any point trying? I wonder if Jeremy will get planning permission for his farm shop. Where are the Pringles? But I could remember from my last time of being grossly out of shape in my mid-30s, and that was way more out of shape than I am now, thinking the same, until one day I no longer thought the same. And that change did occur for a reason, but it really wasn't one that I could have ever planned or put in place deliberately. I just had to simply exist with an underlying sense of dissatisfaction and then wait for something up here to click. And once it did, I was off and running, literally. Yet the motivation that caused that change, to outsiders would have seemed less of a driving force than the things that I've just listed. It's really irrelevant what it actually was in the end because it's just particular to me. In fact, here's somebody else's example of a similar thing. This guy is Miles. I've done videos on his fitness transformation and spoken to him on my podcast, and he tells a horrific story of being hundreds of pounds overweight and then finding himself in hospital during COVID, mentally preparing for his own death because they can't do anything with him due to his weight. And through incredible good fortune, he survives and he comes out of hospital a new man, a healthier, fitter, better man. No, he doesn't. Comes out of hospital, carries on eating. His near-death experience did not motivate him at all. What motivated him to change is a completely different story involving dodgy Mexican food, a flight home from his holiday, and an aeroplane toilet that he was too big to fit inside. That did the trick. But as with me, it wasn't something that he could have just conjured up and planned in advance. How could he plan that in advance? I mean, he could have bought his own diapers on that flight rather than having to borrow them from his nephew. But no, he simply had to wait for everything to align up here. And now he is an ultra running beast and can fit in any airline toilet he wants. So if it requires something random and personal to you to fuel change, is there any point even telling you my own recent mental alignment that occurred that's now put me very definitely back on track after this 6 months of being off it? Because it won't be yours. Yeah, why not? If only because it's something I'm really happy about. My twins. I'll explain. So among a long list of injuries that I ended up with last year, I had a persistent groin pain. I thought maybe hip flexor related, but after months and months of it getting progressively worse, I was becoming convinced I might have something really quite horribly wrong with me. I finally booked an ultrasound, and thankfully my primary concern of testicular cancer was proven to be something I was worried about unnecessarily. Turns out they're fine. But I do have a hernia, but that's minor in the scheme of things and is now in the diary to be fixed. Anyway, that caused the moment where everything just aligned. And interestingly, it wasn't on my way home from the appointment, now relieved that I had nothing terminal, it was on my way there. Suddenly I had this moment of realization. I thought, I'm either going to be told something is quite seriously wrong with me, or be told there isn't. Either way though, it's going to absolutely be the case that if I improve my health and fitness, I'll be in a better place in 2 or 3 or 4 months' time than if I do not. There's simply nothing I'm going to be told where continuing as I am is going to be the best option. That was it. Click. That was over a week ago, and since then I've worked out every day, sometimes twice a day, and I've eaten pretty much perfectly non-stop and have no intention of that changing anytime soon. I am back on it. So what is the point of all this? It is not that you shouldn't have targets and goals and things you want to achieve and reasons you want to achieve them for. It is, though, that if those things do not act as the instigator for change that you hope they will, you don't get too disheartened. In my experience, being dissatisfied with your current state and having an awareness that things need to change, and then the patience to allow that change process to occur when it's right for you, yields better results, despite the potential delay in getting underway, rather than attacking it prematurely off the back of something that you don't really buy into in the first place. There's a reason most New Year's resolutions fail. It's because commencing something just because it's the new year is meaningless. Now, just to be clear, don't confuse what I'm saying with I was happy where I was at and saw nothing wrong with it until that moment of change occurred. I was very aware things were not great. I was not content in the slightest. I do not view my out of shape condition as being something I should simply accept and be happy with and embrace. Images of me looking ropey are not brave and empowering. They're pictures of a man that's too fat, and the impact that has on my sporting performance is not something I'm pleased with either. I'm not content to be running slower than I used to for no reason other than I'm less fit and heavier than I used to be, for no reason other than Netflix and Pringles. I was not, about my own body, body positive. But no matter how body negative I felt, I just knew that rushing in to try and reverse the situation would not work. Annoyingly, for me, damn for my wife. Especially for my wife. To be honest, a golden retriever would have considered leaving had it gone on any longer. Oh, and lastly, I guess a pretty obvious question is what would have happened had that moment a week or so ago not occurred? What if today I was still in the same place? How long do I go telling myself, well, I guess today is just not the day? Do I go 30, 40, 50, 100 pounds overweight? Do I wait until I can't fit in the toilet of an aeroplane? It's a good question, and I don't have an answer for it. The little thought I've given it has caused me to conclude that having turned 50 last November, feeling incredibly fit and healthy and positive, if I turned 51 this November, feeling quite the opposite, I'd probably have had a sit down with myself and pondered how best to proceed. But it didn't take that long. By taking the pressure off worrying about what will cause a change, change was caused. Would that work for you? I have no idea, but I am reasonably sure that just telling yourself you're getting in shape for your beach holiday and then failing to do so, and then feeling terrible about failing to do so, is probably doing you no favours. Ultimately, you don't need to feel good about where you are at, but as long as you do feel good about where you know you will be in time, don't beat yourself up too much when you don't start working towards it exactly when you'd like to. There you go. That's my tip. Here's another. Don't try on a duathlon suit that you're too fat for and ask your wife for her opinion just before date night, because she'll then have a headache and it's now just you in Lycra watching Clarkson eating Pringles.